slide only.
नमस्कार सभी विद्यार्थियों का ज्ञानदूत कार्यक्रम में एक बार पुनः स्वागत है। वनस्पति शास्त्र श्रृंखला के आज के लेक्चर में हमारे को प्रोफेसर टी.आई. खान साहब क्लाइमेट चेंज, उसके बेसिक कंसेप्ट्स और उसके जो प्रतिकूल प्रभाव है उनसे अवगत कराएंगे। सभी विद्यार्थियों से एक बार पुनः उनको याद दिला दूं, इनसे रिलेटेड कोई क्वेश्चंस अगर हो तो उनको चैट बॉक्स में डालते रहें। खान सर, प्लीज टेक ओवर। जी सर, आप शेयर कर दीजिएगा स्क्रीन।
ओके, स्लाइड शो इसको। ओके, नमस्कार। आवाज मेरी साफ आ रही है आप लोगों को?
जी सर।
Okay. So I am thankful to the Commissioner Higher Education and Government College AJMER and Dr. Vibha for providing me this opportunity. And the topic given to me is climate change, basic concepts and its adverse impacts. It is such a wide topic that in a number of universities abroad, there are full postgraduate courses and research work is going on climate change. But the time given to me, allotted to me is extremely short. So I will run the slides. Let's say the climate change it's a burning question. And we want to know what are greenhouse effects, global warming and climate change. What we have done is we have changed the structure of the earth because of the human activities and human greed. So this is a photograph released by NASA, which takes the photographs through satellites periodically, and what changes occur over a period of time are projected by the NASA. So the climate change has become a very big challenge for us, for the human being and for their survival. So what basically I would like to touch upon in a very short span of time is we want to know certain things like what do we want to know? We want to know what is the climate change? Is it real? Which gases are responsible? Will it affect rich countries or will affect poor countries? How does climate change occur? Why should we bother? Will it affect human also? Will it affect glaciers, oceans, agriculture also? And what can we do? That's the most important thing. So these are the basic things which I would address during this mini talk. It is said that climate change will likely lead to food and water shortage, pandemic diseases, disputes over refugees and resources, and destruction by natural disasters in regions across the globe. That has already been told by US Department of Defense way back in 2014. But we did not pay any heed to it. So if we want to know what climate change is in science, we have a well recognized fashion that we have to define what is climate change. So in fact, the topic of climate change is a puzzle with many different pieces like oceans, atmosphere, ecosystems, polar ice, natural and human influences, and scientists have been working on this puzzle for more than a century. And while there are still gaps in our knowledge, most experts feel we have a puzzle is complete enough to show that human activities are having an adverse effect on our planet. Let's looks at many of those puzzles pieces, the evidence behind them, and the conclusion we can draw from. So in fact, climate change issue is related with the troposphere, which is the layer of the atmosphere closest to the earth, closest to the surface of the earth. if we go above the equator, so from equator, from the surface of the earth, the troposphere ends at 18 kilometers, and on the poles it is about 9 to say 12 kilometers above the surface of the earth. And we have made plenty of changes in the troposphere that is causing climate change. Above the troposphere there is stratosphere, above that there is mesosphere and thermosphere. So what basically climate change is, this is how I can explain that while we see summer, winter, or rains, in summers we expect the hot temperature, in winter we want cooling, in rainy season we want moderate. But if it is going to happen against our expectations, that's climate change. So this is how you can see this layer of the troposphere. If this is equator, the distance between equator and the top layer of the troposphere is about 80 kilometers from the surface of the earth, and on the poles you can see it is going down, so it is about 9 to say 12 kilometers on the polar regions. So what happens actually when the light is coming from the sun to the earth, the solar radiations in the form of the light waves passes through the atmosphere, and some energy is radiated back into the space by the earth in the form of the infrared waves, and these infrared waves are absorbed by the greenhouse gases. So when these infrared radiations are absorbed, the warming of the earth takes place, and this phenomenon is called as greenhouse. The greenhouse effect is a must that provides us a livable temperature. But what is happening is the earth is warming much more than our expectation. And what we have observed is the hottest of all have been the last 6 years, that is right from 2015 up to the 20, we have observed that the topmost hottest years. And percent of the climate scientists that agreed global average temperatures have increased during the past centuries. In the year 1991, there were 60% people who were believing in it. But as the time passed, by the year 2007, the percentage of believers have increased suddenly up to 1997. So climate change, are the humans responsible for observed warming? There are 84% people who believe that yes, human is responsible for climate change. 11% are uncertain, they just don't know. And about 5% people are there who say no, there is nothing like this, there is nothing like climate change. So what has happened is actually we have been cutting the plants which absorb carbon dioxide. We have been increasing the emission of the carbon dioxide from the vehicles, from burning of the fossil fuels, from the thermal power plants. So this is what has been happening in the 20th centuries, and we have seen that forest is enough. We have infinite number of the forest. But as soon as we entered into the 21st century, we have seen that we have done a lot of damage to the earth. So to cut short, I would say in Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has prepared a report, and 91 authors spread over 40 countries have prepared this report, and we have collected 133 contributing authors report, which includes 6,000 studies, and that report has been reviewed by 1,113 reviewers, and we have received 42,000 comments, and then a report has been prepared by IPCC. And it is saying that we have to stop the increase of global warming by 1.5 degrees centigrade, but it is not under control, it is continuously increasing. That's what the conclusion of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says. This is Lee, the chair of the IPCC, And he says that with more than 6,000 scientific references cited and the dedicated contribution of thousands of experts and government reviewers worldwide, this important report testifies to the breadth and policy relevance of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So what is going to happen? Whether you live in rural areas or in small islands or big cities, we are bound to have impact of climate change. Climate change is going to threaten our health system. We will have more of droughts, floods, heat waves. We will have more of the vector-borne diseases like malaria, dengue, viruses. And the basic necessities will be disrupted, like the supply of the food, the pure air, pure water, that will be scarce. So the report says between 2030 to 2050, climate is expected to cause 250,000 additional deaths per year. That is the conclusion of the IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And according to the CSIRO report published in 2020, it says that continued increase in the air temperature, more heat extremes, and fewer cold extremes, increase in the number of dangerous fires, rising sea level, and acidification of the oceans will take place. Increased marine heat waves that will affect marine environment. Since 1990, the world has already lost 1,178 billion hectares of the forest, which absorbed, as a matter of fact, carbon dioxide. In 2015 to 2020, the annual deforestation rate was 10 million hectares. Imagine 10 million hectare forest gets eroded by human being. So in 2020, deforestation of the Amazon rainforest surged to a 12-year high. Even the lockdown, it could not help much as we expected. In fact, despite setbacks from the COVID-19, data showed that global greenhouse gas emissions increased into 2020. In May, it was measured, May 2020, carbon dioxide level hit 417 ppm, highest in the human history. So this is the story of climate change. 2020 is currently tied with 2016 as the warmest year on record, despite developing La Nino cooling conditions. So it is going to affect our health system. So from where the greenhouse gases are coming? The greenhouse gases we are getting 31 from the manufacturing sector, like cement, iron, steel, chemicals. This sector is giving us about 31%. The electricity generation through coal burning, oil, and natural gas, we are getting 27% of the greenhouse gases through agriculture, through transportation, and through heating systems. So this is just an estimation that how much of the percentage of greenhouse gases are emitted from different activities of the human being. So we can say these are the gases, representation of the carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, water vapors, F6. There are many gases which are referred as greenhouse gases, which has the capacity to absorb infrared radiations. So what is actually happening when the radiations are coming? Some radiations are absorbed by the atmosphere while the radiations are coming to the earth. Some are reflected back, and some are getting converted into long waves radiations, infrared radiations, and that is the issue. In fact, the whole issue is this one, that as the number of long waves will be increasing, and as the amount of the greenhouse gases will keep on increasing, the greenhouse effect will enhance and climate will increase, the earth will be warmer, getting warmer. So increasing greenhouse gases trap more heat, because greenhouse gas has the capacity to absorb infrared radiations, So if the concentration of the greenhouse gases is increasing, the absorption of the infrared radiations will also increase. So I think I would focus on this one simple table, and if you can understand it, it will be very helpful. That what are the greenhouse gases, what is their concentration in the atmosphere, with what rate the greenhouse gases, respective greenhouse gas are increasing, how much is the responsibility of that particular gas towards climate change. This one chart says that carbon dioxide, when it was measured in 1950, the level was 275 ppm. And today, as I said, in 2020, say last year in November, 417 ppm was measured. So the carbon dioxide is increasing every year by 0.5%, and 55% responsibility of the global warming is ascertained to carbon dioxide. Similarly, we have methane as a greenhouse gas. It is increasing 1% every year, and it has 15% responsibility. N2O is increasing 0.25% every year, and 6% is the responsibility. Chlorofluorocarbon, surprisingly, it is increasing 5% every year, and responsibility of the chlorofluorocarbon is 17%. And chlorofluorocarbon carbon 11 is 17,500 times more capable of absorbing infrared radiations than the carbon dioxide. If you compare carbon dioxide, if you take carbon dioxide as the one unit, one molecule of the CH4, that is methane, is absorbing 25 times more than the carbon dioxide. Similarly, N2O molecule is absorbing 250 times more infrared radiation than the carbon dioxide. Chlorofluorocarbon is absorbing 17,500 times, or CFC12 20,000 times more than the carbon dioxide. That is the scenario. This is how you can understand the greenhouse gases are increasing, their concentration is increasing every year, and their responsibility is there towards climate change. So when we say global warming or climate change is going on, what is going to happen? We will have more of flash floods, hail, lightning, dust storms, ice storms, the tropical cyclones. All these climate related issues are closely connected with the climate, and as the climate changes, the frequency of these climate related hazards will keep on increasing. Earlier we used to associate it with the El Nino, but now we understand fully that it is very much related with warming of the earth. Now we have collected good number of evidences of global warming, that Earth's mountain glaciers are melting, because there are scientists who are measuring the size of the glaciers and the quantum of the glaciers that is melting. So large number of evidences we are collecting, like sea level is rising, the north hemisphere permafrost is melting, the tree line in mountain range is moving upward, many tropical diseases are spreading towards the poles, and a high elevation in the tropics is going on. So such data is getting collected by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So whatever we are speaking is based upon 5 models, and these models are called as climate change models. So far we have identified 5 important models. One model is provided by NASA, another by GISS, still another by NCAR, and yet another by GFDL, and last state is OSU plus UKMU, that is Oregon State University and United Kingdom Meteorological Office. So these organizations have provided us the model with the help of which we predict that what is going to happen in the next decades or next century or next year or maybe in 6 months, what is going to happen. These climate change models help us understanding it. So global bodies have launched 9 projects, and that is giving you answers of certain questions. Like there is a core project, it is called as International Global Atmospheric Chemistry Projects. Where I have been visiting in MIT, Cambridge, USA. They are trying to find out the answer of this question: how is the chemistry of the global atmosphere regulated, and what is the role of the biological processes in producing and consuming trace gas. Similarly, there is organization called as CSIRO in the Australia, and the name of the project is Global Change and Terrestrial Ecosystems, and they are trying to find the answer: how will global change affect terrestrial ecosystem. Similarly, other projects are going on. In total, there are 9 projects, and these projects are trying to helping us with the help of the contributions by the already existing international agencies, like central agencies called as IGBP, International Geosphere Biosphere Program. This is exclusively devoted to the climate change, and they are seeking the help of United Nations Environment Program, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, World Meteorological Organization, and several organizations. We are seeking the help of all these to predict, to find out, to use in the climate models, so that we can tell what is going to happen next year, what is going to happen in the next decade, what is going to happen in the next 2 decades, etc. So our purpose is, what are the impacts, and do the impacts matter? So certainly I have tried to make it a very crisp for you that impacts of the climate changes on the environment are certainly going to be there. It is bound to be there. It will be there on the ice and snows of the world. It will be going to be there on the oceans and the past. It is going to be on the hydrological systems of the world. It's going to be affecting the ecosystems and vegetation. So since the time is a constant, I have to rush, and so that you can see maximum number of slides. And impacts of climate change on society. Are we really going to be affected? Yes. Our water resource is going to be affected. Our food and agriculture is going to be affected. Our coastal dwellers, those who are living on the banks of the oceans, on the coast of the oceans, they will be affected. Our economic activities are going to be affected. Human settlements and our health system is going to be affected. So we have been teaching it in one full paper, in one full semester about the climate change, but I just want to give you a superficial information about the climate change. At least you will get the length and width of the topic. Sea level rise projection says that 2 feet increase in the sea level. What does it mean? The USA would lose 10,000 square miles. 3 feet, if there is sea level increase, it would inundate Miami. Miami उसमें डूब जाएगा. It affects the erosion, loss of wetlands, freshwater supplies. Half of the world's population lives along coast, and big question is the ice sheets. So half of the population lives on the banks. Mean if you go to Bombay or Kolkata or you go to Chennai, these all bigger cities are prospering because large number of population, because of the opportunities, the employment opportunities and business opportunities. People are living on the coast of seas, and there is a challenge of inundation. उसके डूबने का खतरा है मैं. और जितनी ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन हमारी बड़े बड़े शहरों में, मैंने बताया बॉम्बे में, कोलकाता में, चेन्नई में, न्यूयॉर्क में, लंदन में, बड़े बड़े जितने भी शहर है वहां पर सब जगह पर ये खतरा मंडरा रहा है कि अगर पानी समंदर का लेवल बढ़ा तो बहुत सारी पॉपुलेशन वो रिफ्यूजी बन के रह जाएगी. टू एड्रेस क्लाइमेट चेंज, नो वी नीड टू एंड डिफोरेस्टेशन. उसको रोकना पड़ेगा. हमारे पेड़ों की कटाई हो रही, ड्रास्टिकली रिड्यूस यूज ऑफ द फॉसिल फ्यूल्स. हमें हम जो व्हीकल्स में काम में लेते हैं, इंडिविजुअल व्हीकल्स में, कार में, बस में, इंडिविजुअल स्कूटर्स में, मोटरसाइकिल में, इसकी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ती जा रही है, पौधों की कम होती जा रही है. पौधे कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एब्जॉर्ब करते हैं और व्हीकल्स निकालते हैं. तो ये जो हमारा सोर्स और सिंक है, सोर्स ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड सिंक्स ऑफ द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, there was a balance in it, and that balance is getting lost. So we have to think about it. So the whole issue which I wanted to concentrate was, what is climate change? Is it real? How do we know? Why should we bother? And how sure are the scientists? This was my motto to discuss with you. And over here we can say climate change. Climate change is, there are certain factors like sun's orbit, the earth's orbit, drifting continents, volcanic eruptions, beside our greenhouse gases, there are several natural factors also which is causing climate change. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's a very big, very huge topic. So I just want to give you a superficial information. So let me run down, because time is a constant, as I said in the beginning, but you will get a fairly good amount of idea that this is what is happening. Actually, when we say climate change and global warming, you can see a lot of ice is there. Climate change actually addressing this thing, that at some places there used to be snowfall, but it has increased. Excess amount of the snowfall is there. That is also covered under climate change. At places the earth is warming. See, excess amount of this snowfall is there. Permafrost, they are getting destroyed. You will find that the places where the glaciers were there once upon a time, now it is getting damaged because of the human activities. So it is affecting even wildlife or biodiversity. And time and again there are meetings. The scientists all over the globe, they sit together, they discuss, they study the physics of it, they study the chemistry of it, they study the biology of it, they study the biotechnology of it. And you will surprised to know that in 2007, IPCC, about which I am narrating, in Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, it was headed by Dr. Pachori and Al Gore, the Vice President of the United States of America. They together got a Nobel Prize for studying climate change. So let me go over here, that we want that this is the level of carbon dioxide is continuously increasing. And we want that since year 2000, we are continuously meeting at international conferences and saying that please stabilize the amount of the carbon dioxide you are using. Otherwise, the pattern will be like this. And actually, it is going on this side. Nobody is behaving properly. So the concentration is increasing. The scientists want carbon dioxide up to this level, and people are contributing toward this side. So the whole issue is of this triangle. We want to stabilize this triangle. There is a necessity of stabilizing this triangle, and scientists are saying that if we are not going to stop carbon dioxide, the Earth's temperature may increase by somewhere between 1.5 degrees centigrade to 4.5 degrees centigrade, and that will create problems of various different kinds. So what is needed is produce more fuel efficient vehicles, reduce vehicle use, improve energy efficiency in buildings, develop carbon capture and storage processes, increase solar power, decrease the deforestation, and improve soil. This is what I have in the last I have said. What can we do? This is a list of things which I'm handing over to you, that you need to do all this for stopping the climate change. This is a symbolic thing, that if there is a multi-story building and each building is independent, you have solar panels, and all the solar panels are independent of poles. There are no electrical poles around. So if we harvest solar energy, we can use this for our purpose, and we can be free from the power generated by the coal, gas, and natural oils. So the pattern now is from coal, gas, and petroleum. We need to go for the solar energy, wind energy, etc. That will reduce carbon dioxide production to a greater extent. So people think that if I alone, what can I do? So I'm trying to let you know that this is one person, this is another person. These are individuals. So individual persons are asking what I can do. So I'm giving you here an example, that you are here one individual, and if you put together all individuals, it becomes Earth. And if you are changing your thinking individually, the global thinking will be changed, and we will be controlling climate change. So with this, I think I will say thank you, and I hand over it to Prabhaji.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the all comprehensive your lecture, in which you have presented such an important topic in an all comprehensive manner. यह टॉपिक, आज का ये लेक्चर न सिर्फ हमारे ग्रेजुएट और पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए बहुत उपयोगी होगा, वरन हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, हमारे जो कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, उनके लिए भी ये बहुत उपयोगी सिद्ध होगा. थैंक्स अ लॉट खान सर. थैंक यू वेरी मच.